Hey there, it's been a little while. I'm Sylvia Moonbeam, and welcome back, Starshines / Home Skillets, however you. Meh. Anyway, I've got a little something special for you all today. I have a Thomas and Friends train that's older than I am. If you are relatively new to the channel, I was born in 1993, which means at the time of recording, I am currently 31 and a half, which means according to the children I work with on a daily basis, I am a boomer, at least according to them. But this is you might not recognize this logo. So it says Shining Time. For those of you who aren't aware, in the United States, when the UK was trying to bring Thomas and Friends, or Thomas the Tank Engine, however, over to the US, they had it in kind of a programming block called Shining Time Station, in which they kind of had a slice of life TV show where Ringo Starr was Mr. Conductor, and he was like, well, Stacy, let me tell you about my friend Thomas. And then they would cut to Thomas and Friends shorts. But you can see right here at the top, let's see if it'll focus. But it specifically says Thomas the Tank Engine, based on the Railway series by the Reverend W. Audrey. Britt Allcroft Thomas, limited 1992, which means this came out a year, actually this technically would have come out a year before I was born, and then later goes on to say, Shining Time Station, created by Britt Allcroft and Rick Siegelkow, I think. 1991, Shining Time Station is a trademark of quality family entertainment. Then, of course, 1991, the ERTL company. So, yeah. ERTL, which made Thomas products for years, made this in, actually, I thought it was 1992. In 1991, this may have been re-released in 92. But yeah, it's really cool. I got a little duck, which they even refer to him as a Great Western Railway, or GWR pannier tank. They cared so much more about the actual history of the engines back then. God, there are going to be people on the internet that hate me for opening this, but I kind of want to, because it's going to be fun. And on the back, they even have a little bit of a cutout card. The artwork isn't amazing, but you can see it has Duck, the GWR pannier tank engine, also known as Montague. Duck is always cheerful and is happiest when busy. Sorry, I can read backwards. I think it's mirrored for you, but it's kind of hard to read mirrored sometimes. Yeah, and they call these collector cards Collector Card 8 because, of course, Duck is the number 8 engine on the Northwestern Railway. I picked this up from eBay for about $25, so it can't be that expensive. Plus, it's Duck. Everyone loves Duck, and I've been trying to get a Duck in my collection for a while, but all the Ducks that are available are either just so expensive or just not available in my area. So I got what I could, and I'm very excited to pop this open. This part doesn't really matter to me. The point is, it's Duck. So let's do this. The adhesive on the blister card is, 30 plus years old. So this should be pretty easy to peel. I'm just gently pulling on this, and it's coming right up. You can see that. I'm just kind of gently sliding my finger here, and it just easily peels up. I might want to save this, just the card, just for posterity and all that. I haven't decided yet. But yeah, you can see how easily it's coming up. That is the advantage of, I guess, multiple decade-old. But it's also kind of weird because I am now the first person ever holding this engine in my hands. it's just kind of weird that this toy is older than I am, and yet it has not been touched by human hands, presumably since it was first cast. So what's really cool is this is die cast. I've got a little thing here you can hear. Like, it is. I'm not sure how well my little stylus picks that up. I thought I was gonna need to peel the. I thought I was gonna have to peel this, but it came up right away. But yeah, take a look at that. Oh, focus. It's not focusing. Sorry. You see, he's got the GWR, Great Western Railway, tampagraphs. He's got some molding for coal in his bunker. Oh, he just looks so good. He's about I'd say about 2.5 inches long. I can try to grab a ruler, but I have some other things for scale. I have here a Nerf dart. You can see he's about the same length. I have a Lego minifigure. You can see kind of basically how he scales there. I have Studio Series 86 Bumblebee. So you can see kind of relatively small, though bigger than kind of your standard Hot Wheel. I don't really keep a lot of Hot Wheels on me, but he's bigger than a standard Hot Wheel and all die cast. Let's see. Ooh, on the bottom here, I was curious to see what year they would have. On the bottom, I don't know if this probably won't show up, but on the bottom here, it actually says 1990, which means they minted, I guess. They produced these in 1990 and just didn't sell them until 91. And the Shining Time packaging was probably a refresh. That's my guess. This is really cool. Give me 1 second. I'm back, sorry. So I said I don't have much in the way of Hot Wheels. I do have one Hot Wheel that might be a little relevant, and that is the Hot Wheels Rail Rodder, which this is the original. Oh gosh, what year is this? This is the 1995 Rail Rodder. I think this is the original version of the Rail Rodder, and one of the few trains I have from way back then. But you can see it's about the same size as Duck, so it does scale. And this is actually one of the bigger Hot Wheels, at least for when I was a kid. You can see how it scales. The Rail Rodder runs pretty well on some basic Hot Wheels track. And with the 6 wheels, it has a little bit more traction, but you can see it, I mean, it slides around a little bit because it's a little bit thinner. But Duck does roll pretty well. And if I flip it over, where it's a little bit narrower, still slides pretty well, even on the narrower version of the track on the other side. But you're not here for this. You want to see other trains. I'll show all my modern collection in a minute, but I actually don't really have any of my trains from when I was a kid. My parents basically decided when I was about 7 or 8 that I was just too old for trains and that it was time to pass them on. And so I had to give them to someone who wasn't even a family friend. Like, they were the child of one of my coworkers. Of one of my mom's coworkers. A kid I had never seen before. And yeah, I was basically forced to give all my trains to this kid I'd never even met. Like, I wasn't even friends with him. And I still kind of hold a little bit of a grudge about that. And so I've had to not recollect my collection, but I've had to make a new collection. Which also means I'm a little more picky with what I collect. So here is of course, duck compared to another die-cast engine. This is going to be compared to a modern die-cast diesel. This one is from 2020. So huge difference. This is about 30 years difference. You can see they still scale fairly well. Their clip systems are a little bit different. But other than the updated clip systems, they still scale pretty well. And I just thought it would be really fitting to have duck and diesel compared side by side. Though I think relatively modern day, this duck might be a little bigger than a modern than the 90s equivalent. And just because I realize this isn't the most modern diesel compared to a all engines go diesel from 2021, literally the next year. You can see this version of diesel's a lot bigger with a lot more exaggerated proportions. I'm not as big of a fan of this one, but I do like the character of Diesel. And then for something a little bit more retro to kind of go along with the proper scale and timeline, here is a wooden railway Mavis with the magnets attached. This one is, this is the Learning Curve Brands version. This one unfortunately doesn't have a date on it. But I believe this version of Mavis came out around the time of, came out around the time of the Magic Railroad. So this version of Mavis would have been available around the time I was forced to give up my old collection. Mavis is actually one of my favorite characters, and you can see she scales not great. The wooden railway engines are always kind of a little out of scale. She is huge. She should be more similar in scale to Duck. Yeah, so as a wooden railway, this is huge. And last but not least, one of the engines that started off my newer collection, my Bachmann Mavis, from, what year is this? 2008. So ironically, she would have come out only a couple years after this Mavis, but is a, I believe this is O gauge? I don't remember what gauge this is. I can't tell. But just, obviously this one is significantly oversized. But if I ever get a Bachmann Duck, which I do want, I will happily compare them. But yeah, two of my favorite engines, well, I guess technically three of my favorite engines. Yeah. I don't know how many people will actually watch this video because I realize I've never done Thomas content before. But give me a couple seconds to put everything away and I will show you my collection because I'm sure you're curious to see where this little cutie's going. All right, we've moved locations and now I can show you the train cave. I know it's kind of hard to see because even with all the lights on, it is very dark, at least on camera. But I've got a older series wooden Gordon. You can see I've got the diesels I showed earlier, my Mavises. I've got a couple Salties, the new Donald. I've got a couple Edwards, a Henry, Whiff, a couple Tobys, my new Duck, and in the back there I've got a 2023 Day Out with Thomas wooden railway with all the paint splatters. Yeah. Well, thank you for joining me on this adventure. It's been fun. I hope you had fun too. Maybe I'll go over some of those more in the future. But until next time, I've been Sylvia Moonbeam, and have a good one.